Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here on a Saturday afternoon. Okay, I cannot see you, but we can chat. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. We are here to learn about Language Hub. It's a new series for adults and young adults. And as you can see, it's got 6 levels. 6 levels that will take your students from A1 to C1, a very interesting, a very broad spectrum, okay? So I am Alejandra Ottolina, and I will be here presenting this new series together with Mariela Burani. Mariela will focus on the digital parts, and I will walk through the book with you, right? So as you can see from the very beginning, lovely photographs that will become excellent triggers. Hello, Viviana. Hello, Cordova. Good. Nice to see you there. Right. So excellent pictures, as I was telling you, excellent openers that will become triggers for your lessons with very interesting quotes and very interesting phrases that will lead on to reflection. Now, I told you at the beginning that this is for adults or young adults. I mean, people who are 15 on, let's say. What do you consider the key factors when you teach adults or young adults? What do you look for in a series? What is important so that your customer, your student, remains in your lesson, so that your student is pleased with your teaching, so that he or she sees they make progress? What do you think? What do you need? Chat, come on. I want to see your comments. No, nobody's writing? Okay, I will help you then. We have a situation. We consider when we teach adults, we think it's a different world altogether. We think that there are experts who teach adults, and these experts are different from the ones who teach teenagers or even the ones who teach children. And you know what? Very often adults share certain characteristics. They are very similar to teenagers. Hello, Marvel Plata there. Hello, Claudia from Salta. Good. Nice to see you all there. I was telling you, sometimes they are very similar to teenagers in that, for example, they have a very short attention span. Sometimes we are in the English lesson and they start receiving messages and we have to stop every now and then. The same as teenagers. They want a dynamic lesson. They cannot focus for a long time. The same as young learners. They love to see interesting, colorful pictures because that will concentrate their attention. That will hook them onto the lesson. The same as little children. And you have, as teachers, you and me too, we have to aim at a very dynamic lesson, a very productive lesson, because you know what? Not teenagers if they are at school, but they're, let's say, 17 on, or adults when they are at an institute, for example. If they don't speak English immediately, if they feel they are not producing enough from the very beginning, they stay just for the first term and they leave. And so we have to close courses. So it's very important that your book, the series you choose, helps you to help them see that they are making progress. And they feel they make progress when they communicate. So this series will guarantee that communication from the very beginning, a lot of speaking all the time from the very beginning. And I've got here a few questions. Who is this series for? First of all, I told you, adults and young adults, I mean 15 on, which means this may be used in a school of English. This may be used in a secondary school in the last years of the secondary school, in upper secondary. This may be used in company courses with adults. But also, when I say who for, I also mean what kind of teacher is this series for? Because this series is for a teacher who aims at communication. It is for a teacher who wants to make the students speak, who wants to empower their learners in a very realistic way and to perform in a very realistic environment. How many contact hours? More than 3. I would say between 3 and 5, 6, depending how you work with the book. At least 3. And if you work, for example, in a school, perhaps you may use the book without the workbook. Okay? What about the components? Well, I was telling you, you have the student's book, the workbook, and there are 2 options for the workbook, with the key and without the key. Now, what is important is that when you buy a book or when your students buy the book, inside you can see a code. This code gives them access to the Students app, and in the workbook you also have another code for the audio material, and the Students app will give you access to a lot of interesting things that Mariela will show you. The same happens when you get the teacher's book. You know that when you adopt a series or when you adopt a book in a school, for example, your local representative gives you the teacher's book. So the teacher's book will have a code, and that code will give you access to the teacher's app. And Mariela will show you everything you have in the app. It's absolutely great. The teacher's book is a work of art. It's not a traditional teacher's book with just a few answers. Not that at all. Important when you work with adults or young adults, methodology. What about the methodology? Because each book has a methodology, has a philosophy. I could talk about the communicative approach. I could say that there are tasks. There are a lot of very interesting speaking tasks. However, this aims at a teacher who needs to feel safe, at a teacher who hasn't got time to plan for 20 hours to teach 40 minutes. So the methodology should be straightforward, should be practical. In what sense? It has a lot of speaking tasks. The grading is extremely active, but the methodology for the presentation of grammar and vocabulary and for the skills is traditional PPP. So you will never feel at a loss. In spite of this, in spite of the fact that it's PPP, which sounds traditional, it's so dynamic and so full of speaking situations and speaking tasks and interesting texts and reflection time that it makes it highly communicative. In my opinion, it's the perfect balance for any dynamic, productive class in which you feel safe. You open the book and you know where you are standing, even when you don't have time to plan. Now, have you ever thought about the name? Because the name is quite original. It's Hub, Language Hub. Now, what is a hub? Let's move on to the next slide. A hub is a big room where everything gets connected, or it's a big technological device where all the wires are connected. So it's like the core, it's like the heart where every little piece, every small part gets connected. They get all together connected to produce information. In this case, to produce English. The hub is all the parts that are so intelligently, so carefully designed that they are put together in each of the 6 levels. You've got vocabulary and grammar that are very carefully graded, very carefully chosen, very carefully presented and practiced. You've got the 4 skills with 2 very important things. The writing part, the writing section, we have decided to put it at the very end of the book. Why? This is the secret. Because you know that adults don't like writing. So if it is in the book and you are skipping it, very often they have the feeling that they have bought the book and you are not completing it. While if you complete the unit and the writing is at the back, the writing becomes optional. Optional within inverted commas, because the writings are so interesting and so realistic and so productive that you and your students will surely want to have them, okay? And the speaking I think is the strongest point. It's a pillar in the series. There are 3 kinds of speaking activities. Short ones, simple ones, all the time, sometimes twice on a page. Questions and answers, short pair work activities. Then there are longer speaking tasks involving pair work or group work with discussion. And then there are longer speaking tasks that we call speaking hub, where you take longer and where there is reflection, where a group makes a presentation, for example, and then they open up to the other classmates. And so there is like a bigger presentation, common discussion, or group reflection. So this is why it's the idea of a hub. All the bits and pieces are very carefully put together into something bigger, productive, and realistic, that is the language. So now I invite you to walk through together with me to walk through the student's book, okay? I told you at the beginning that the pictures are very important, because I also told you that adults and teenagers find pictures interesting. Pictures become triggers. They associate things, they imagine things, they wonder, and that is very important. And so the openers in every unit look like this. The openers have got a very big picture together with a quote. And the person who said that, usually somebody very important. And that quote, together with that picture, will become a trigger, because your students will not only use the language they already know to describe the picture, but also start reflecting about that quote, the title of the unit, the topic, in this case, relationships, and bringing it down to their own reality. So you've got speaking from the very beginning, speaking that is open, in that you've got a quote and pictures and they can say what comes to their mind. But at the same time, the speaking is guided, because if you look at the very bottom of the page, in this white part, they've got like 3 simple questions. So if the picture doesn't mean anything, because sometimes students are shy, or sometimes ideas just don't come to the mind because they are worried or they are thinking about something else. So if that doesn't happen, if this doesn't become a good trigger, then they've got questions. From the very first page, your students will be speaking meaningfully. And from the very first page, you and your students will know what you're aiming at. The aims, the objectives of the unit in terms of aims set in the Common European Framework, that is, functions, what you want your students to do with the language, they are clearly set at the very beginning. Okay? Now I will move on to the next slide. And after the introduction, we start. All the units have got a different layout. Because we want to keep the lesson flowing, because we want the lesson to be dynamic and not to look like forced onto the page, if you look at different units in the same book, you will notice that not all the pages are the same. It's not that lesson 1 is always vocabulary presentation. It's not that lesson 1 is always listening. It depends. It depends on the lesson flow. It depends on what is necessary, because what we wanted was, we wanted the book to be natural. We wanted what you have on the page to sound natural and not forced onto the page, okay? So in this case, what you can see is an interesting variety of things. You've got listening in different ways. You've got speaking. You've got listening for gist, listening for keywords, and listening for detail from the very beginning, teaching students that it's not a question of understanding every single word, but understanding keywords to understand the message. And then, yes, to understand detail, sometimes even when we cannot understand all the words, okay? And the listening text, the audio, becomes a context from which we take the grammar that we present here. Again, there are different instances of grammar presentation, but it's not that on the 3rd page of every lesson you have grammar. That doesn't happen, because we want the grammar presentations to be where they are needed, to make the book natural. And what you can see is that the aims are realistic in terms of communication. We are not talking about relationships and making a presentation about relationships, which is so abstract. We are giving the student tools. We are talking about ways of breaking the ice. When you meet somebody on the lift, when you meet somebody for the first time, when you go to a party and you don't know what to say, where we are providing students with tools. So the situations are very realistic. And so this becomes a very positive point because students already know, even from the very beginning, that they will be able to use the language and that the language they are learning is not the cat is on the table. It's language that they will use in natural situations if they travel, if they have to meet somebody from abroad. So now we continue. We move on to the next page. And I told you that from the listening text, we took the grammar. But I go back again. The grammar appears here in an exercise. And the exercise says, work it out. So this means that the students will complete or will match or will identify things about a grammar or using a certain grammar point that has not yet been taught because we want the language to be natural. We want to raise awareness in the same way as we learn the mother tongue, through the way it sounds, through what sounds natural and correct. And from there, once they have worked it out, then we move on to the rule. We move on to the systematization. We give them like the key systematization point, and they have to complete the rule. So from the examples, they discover the rule, and then they have controlled practice. You see that although this is the grammar presentation page, it's never the whole page. It's never 20 exercises, because that is what these people or this age group doesn't want. This is what these people, adults and adolescents, don't like. They want language in action, not language in theory. Okay, so from that controlled practice, now we go to a speaking part. But you see that here, the speaking action or speaking activity is very, very short. But then you've got a pronunciation activity and a speaking section that becomes longer. This is for group work or for pair work. It's very carefully guided. They are topic based and they are situational, but they are not the speaking hub. The hub is the longest speaking task and the one that takes longer and the one that requires group reflection, sometimes group voting, sometimes group decision making. Okay? Another interesting thing in any textbook, but in particular when you deal with adolescents because they are difficult and adults because they are demanding too, is the fact that texts, they have to be there. They have to be interesting. They have to be informative because if it is about something they already know, they will feel like demotivated. And they have to look original and modern and updated. And they have to make them think, make them wonder. And this is what you're going to find. As you can see, you will see now, there are different kinds of texts, but all the time you are working with pre and post reading and while reading for gist, reading for detail, reading and understanding keywords, even when there are maybe others that you don't know, okay? But at the same time, you've got this section that is reading, but you can see vocabulary, pronunciation, again, grammar. So you see that in every lesson, you've got different parts because that is the language. Actually, we never use just vocabulary. We never speak using just grammar. We never do just reading. In everyday situations, we read and talk, we read and listen, we read and discuss, we read and say what we understand and what we don't understand. So all that is reflected on every single page in Language Hub. Let me go down. And we move on to more examples. This is, I use this book with my students, and this is a text they love. They have an impact on the reader. It doesn't matter how old the reader may be, but this is, look at this gentleman, he's English, and he's retired. The point is that when he retired, he felt bored and he felt that his life was meaningless. So what did he do? He put an ad in the newspaper saying that he wanted to work and he was ready to do any job from gardening to cooking to whatever. He was ready to work full time and he begged people to offer him jobs. What happened? They started offering jobs and he became almost a celebrity at the age of 89. He works 6 days a week and the results are great. And again, values, discussing the role of retired people, how to take care of the elderly, so many things you can talk about as the text presents words, presents phrasal verbs, snap him up, talks or introduces different different registers, more formal and less formal language, and of course discussions. Or a text like this one, use it or lose it. The fact that when you learn a language, if you don't practice it regularly into months, you will notice that you have forgotten quite a lot. And why is that so? And they talk about an experiment and remembering. For example, here you've got words in different colors. But if you look at the color words like yellow, red, white, green, yellow is not yellow and red is not red. So when you try to remember these words, you will find that it's much more difficult to remember these than to remember, for example, block or dog, because you associate yellow with the color. And the explanation is very clear about why we forget the language if we don't practice it. And this is connected to how the brain works. All that in this lovely article. But again, you've got pre-reading, post-reading, but then vocabulary, and now, yes, a speaking hub. You see how long it is. The idea is that they should reflect, for example, on a time when you faced a difficult situation, when you were challenged in connection with using or learning a language. Then you have to discuss it with your partners, make a presentation, and when everybody has made the presentation, you all discuss the solutions, the ways each person or the way each person took, and so on and so forth. So this is why it becomes a hub. It's a longer, a little bit more complex task. Let me show you a little bit more. An interesting feature of this series is the fun parts. It's got videos. It's got two kinds of videos: didactic videos, the ones you can see, but also more factual videos if you want, from The Guardian. Okay. What is interesting in this section called Cafe Hub is that there are very independent, funny videos. And of course, they aim at language. But you know what? They aim at one specific kind of language that is functional language. It's not prepositions. It's not present perfect. It's how to give directions, how to apologize, how to say that you didn't understand, how to introduce somebody to somebody else, how to. That how to, the different functions are introduced through very, very funny yet simple situations in lovely videos that are independent. Students love them. They are short and sweet, and you can watch them with or without subtitles. Mariela is going to speak about this. Of course, you've got all the activities. It's not just a video. You've got pre-activities, while watching activities, and after watching activities. And at the end of every unit, you've got a review. A review that is very English-like, okay? Grammar. The grammar you have presented is practiced clearly, effectively, simply. The vocabulary you have taught is practiced in that same way. And at the very bottom of the page, the functional language that has been taught. Because sometimes, or very often, it's not sometimes, When students sit for an international exam and they are given a card and they have to role play a situation, and the situation says, ask for advice on how to get there. Most students will say, can you give me advice on how to get there? Because they don't know functional language. They don't know how to make it sound natural. That is what is practiced here, and that is what is learned through the videos. That is for students who sit for international exams, let alone adults who travel or adults who have to make presentations in English. Functional language is essential. How to use hopefully, for example, naturally. All those functions are very, very clearly and effectively contextualized in the very simple videos. Let's go down. At the very end of the book, you've got different hubs. Hubs are extra practice pages. We put them at the end because they are optional. Maybe the student uses to revise on his or her own. Maybe the student uses before an exam, or maybe the teacher uses this for homework, to set homework. So there is a grammar hub where you've got a summary of the grammar of the unit and extra practice on that grammar. There is also a vocabulary hub with words and practice about that vocabulary seen in the unit. That's the vocab hub. And then there are also student A and student B activities, communication hub, pair work, where there is information gap. One student has got some information but lacks some other, and student B has got what student A doesn't have. So they need to exchange information, and when there is information gap, we speak about a communicative activity. This is why this section is called communication hub, and there are different activities per unit. Also, another thing that I told you was at the very end of the book was the writing section. It's not called writing hub because it doesn't put together things. The writing section is not in the book. Yes, you've got different pieces of writing, but you don't have a composition section within the unit. The composition section is at the very end, and it's this one. It's very carefully graded. There is one writing task and type per unit. Okay, in this case, of course, because we are aiming at a certain age group, the kind of writing reflects the needs of that age group. For example, writing a report, the kind of language, the way to lay the report out. Okay, so you start from a revision of vocabulary and analysis of the situation, or in this case, a survey that they're going to carry out, and from the results, they're going to write a report of that survey. But before they write, they always read a model text. So the writing is always modeled, always imitated to make them feel confident. Okay. After the model, we analyze the language that is needed or that was needed in that writing, and finally they write. But the writing task is presented as steps. It's not writing everything all together, writing whatever comes to your mind in any way. It's preparing, planning, writing, and editing, or writing and reviewing. And Bibiana says, my students love videos because they are functional, fun, and clear. Yes, Bibi, they are really great. And they are acted, okay? They are not natural. They are not spontaneous videos. But the situations are so funny, and everything is so short. And the kind of language presented there is not the language that is presented in the course book or in any course book. And I think that this makes a great difference between Language Hub and the competitors. I know there are other publishers that have got other books for adults, but I can assure you that this, because of the organization of the unit, because of the hubs, and because of the videos, is completely different, much more original, and highly more productive, but highly. And so, going back to the writing, modeled, teaching them that they have to think about ideas and how to organize the ideas, at least until they get enough practice. It's not writing whatever comes to your mind, because when you make a mistake, the mistake may be a grammar mistake. In the case of an adult, a grammar mistake doesn't matter in terms of if the adult is at a job or if he's writing a formal letter to somebody else. But if that grammar mistake brings about a misunderstanding, then it becomes much more serious. So it's not a question of writing whatever comes to your mind, but of planning, preparing, writing, and editing. At least making sure that the message, the right message, is conveyed. Okay, so finally, I mentioned the teacher's book. It's not just a teacher's book. It's not just one more. It's a work of art. It's got everything you need. It's got the students also. So if you have the teacher's book, you don't need to have the students. You don't need to take 2 books to the classroom. Everything is there. And if you see, you've got the page from the student's book with all the comments, with all the things you need to teach. In the reading, you've got underlined in color the answers to the questions and comments whenever that is necessary. There are, I'm sure you must have heard about Scribner. Scribner is a methodology master. He has written several books. Well, tips written by Scribner about teaching, about methodology, have also been included, and this is teacher development. We all grow when we read all this. And of course, you've got that step-by-step thing, all the cultural notes that we need, because sometimes we don't go to England every year. We are not English people. And sometimes there are very local references, and we need a native speaker to tell us what that is. Okay, if not, we have to Google too much, and we don't have time for that. So step by step, all the cultural capsules, all the answers, Scribner's pieces of advice, everything you need, both in the students, in the teachers, and also in the workbook. I'm not showing you the workbook because it's a mirror of the student's book. That is, when you have grammar, you've got grammar practice here. If you have vocabulary, you've got vocabulary here. You've got listenings, you've got extra readings, and the code to access all these audios that you have in the workbook. So now Marie will talk about all this, about the digital part, and I hope you really like the series.
Hi, everyone. Hello, thanks, Ale. Thanks a lot. Can you hear me? Is it okay? Yes? Yes, great, because I'm wearing my headphones. I don't know what's happening outside my house, but there is music, and I don't know. So there's a lot of background noise. Okay, thanks. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. So, well, wonderful presentation. This book is great. I'm going to show you all the digital resources that we have. I will try to be short and sweet so you can enjoy the rest of the evening. So we will have digital resources for both students and for teachers. I'm going to start with the resources we are offering for teachers. Yes, we will have a presentation tool, that is to say, the digitalized book that you can use in your classrooms or remote learning as well, where you will find the book, some tools to use with the book. All the media is integrated, so you don't need to open different files, looking for the videos. Everything is integrated there. Online preparation and practice. This is an excellent tool. Preparation, yes. Then I'm going to show you, but these activities have been designed to warm up what students already know, because we know that with this level, most of the students have had some contact with English, even if they are beginners. So preparation, or if they are intermediate level students, intermediate or upper, they will have this idea of warm up. So when they come to your class, they will have already activated prior knowledge and practice. Then you can also create classes and follow your class progress. You can also push homework to your students' mobile phones or to your students' computers. You also have language test generator, which is a tool that you can use to create your own tests based on the tests that are already uploaded in the system. You choose the activities you want to test, so you make them yourselves. And also Language Hub Teachers Resource Center, and I will show you in a minute what you can find there. In the Language Teachers Resource Center, you will find the class audio, in case you want to use them separately from the presentation tool. The Cafe Hub videos, as Ale mentioned. These are great tools to use in the class, the videos. Something that is interesting is that the videos are included, or this like sitcom storyline is included in every unit, not just a revision or every 3 units. In every unit, you will find the videos. So they are really part of the course book. The Video Hub, which are the authentic videos, some videos taken from the BBC or the Guardian, and the activities to exploit them are leveled, but the video are authentic. So it's more input, more natural input for your students. They are exposed to natural language. They are not in the teacher's book. Yes, they are in the Teachers Resource Center, the Video Hubs, these authentic videos. The activities that you can make copies for the classes with worksheets of grammar or vocabulary. The teacher's book in a PDF format as well. So that's it's on you if you want to use the book or the digital copy of the teacher's book. The Cafe Hub video script. Sorry, it's the wrong order. The word list. Which we know that adult students especially, they always ask, which are the words we are supposed to know? Well, there you are. There you can give them the word list. The workbook audio, the scripts, the answer key for the workbook, and also the mapping for the Common European Framework. So there's a lot of extra activities in the Teachers Resource Center. Yes, you can access the Teachers Resource Center just by activating the code in the teacher's book. Yeah, so this is more material that we include in the for the series. All right, so this is the presentation tool. Yes, you download an application which is called Macmillan Education Teacher, and here you can find the student's book, the workbook, the preparation and practice, and other links to the to other different sections of the digital components, such as the Teachers Resource Center, the test generator, so you can navigate from one component to the other. And here you tap on the component that you want to use in your class, and then you can download specific units. You don't need to download all the units in the book, so it doesn't clog your memory. You just choose which unit you download. I'm going to show you in a second. Yes, for example, here we have an example of Language Hub Intermediate, the student's book. Yes, the units that have the little book, it means that I have downloaded them, and the others are there. So you can use it. One of the main advantage of downloading the units and choosing what to download, apart from this question of the memory on your computer, is that you can use them offline. So now we know that everything depends on Wi-Fi or internet connection. Now I'm freaking out because I see in my screen that tu conexión no es estable, and I'm freaking out. Well, we know that depends, our life depends on that nowadays. But when we go back to the classrooms, to the face-to-face classrooms, let's say, we can choose which units to download, and we can use them without internet connection. So I think this is a great advantage. So you choose the unit that you want to present. And here you have the page of the book, but in a digitalized form. Yes. Here you have the section. Yes. This is the reading, the listening, and you tap onto each activities, and I'm going to show you in a second. Yes, and you go to those activities. Yes, these are very simple tools that we have, so you don't need to open, for example, another pizarra as we have, or boards as we have it in Zoom, for example. You can write here, you can highlight. Yes, you can use the tools directly on the screen from the course book. Yes, here you can zoom on the activities you want to present. Yes, in this case, useful phrases. So you zoom in and out according to the activities you're working with. Yes, so they open the menu. You can check the activities online with your students. I will try to be here. You also have the videos. You can also activate the video script. You have two alternatives. Yes, you can watch the videos with subtitles, without subtitles. Students are also going to have their the videos in their students resource center. Yeah, so because we know that students, they usually ask you, teacher, can I have the video? Especially adults, because they want to watch it again, yes, at home. So, and you can also activate the script, yes, while playing the video in your class. So it's very flexible, yes, you can easily adapt the digital components to your classes, to suit your classes, especially in these classes which are usually mixed ability classes, because maybe you have a student who is 25 years old and another who is 70 years old. So they need different paces. So you can adapt the class, the digital version for them, yes? Okay, here you go to the quick links. For example, if you want to go to the writing hub, which is at the end of the unit in the book, you don't need to go through all the pages. You just click there and it automatically goes to different sections in the book. So you can easily navigate throughout the different units or sections, yes? Okay, so now the students. The students are going to have another app, which is called Macmillan Education Students app, which is free. When they get the book, they activate the code, and they can have access to all these materials. The ebook, the students' book, or the workbook, depending on the subscription, because we have different options. They can get the printed book and have access to the students' book ebook, or they can buy the workbook, and again they have access to the workbook in an e-format, or they can buy just the code. This is our new digital full edition. They just buy the code and they have everything digital, in a digital format. They will also have access to the online preparation and practice. Yes, that's great, Mariana. Yes, yes, yes. That's right, especially with adults, that now young adults, that they are used to reading on their tablets or mobile phones. The online preparation and practice, I will show you in a minute with more details. They can also receive the homework. If when you create a class, you can send them homework. And the language hub students resource center, the students book audio, the cafe hub videos, word list, and workbook audio. Yes, because the idea is that they can also work independently. Yes. All right. So this is the students ebook. Yes, they have the digital students book, the preparation and practice, the students resource center. So again, they can go from one component to the other easily. And I'm going to show you what are the symbols here at the bottom of the page. Yes, then I will show you. This is the book, and as you can see, they have the interactive activities. Yes, they also have all the media, all the multimedia embedded. Yes, so it's very similar to the presentation tool, but it's for the students. And they navigate from one page to the other from one unit. This is a full page view of the workbook. And again, they have the grammar, it's interactive. Yes, the unit, as you can see, it's as Ale said, it's a mirror of the printed version, but in this case, they have all the interactive activities as well. All right, so this is the students app. This is how they can navigate. This is how they can see them on their mobile phones. Yes, and they have some extra activities in this preparation or practice that are used in a kind of game. Yes, and as it says here, we know that adult learners are natural time poor and need opportunities to practice on the go. This is the idea, that they can practice English wherever they are. For example, if they are waiting at the doctor's office, for example, so they just open and they can practice their English. I know, because I teach adults, that many students usually download other apps which are free and which are not so, they're very, not so good. But with this, that is specially designed to accompany the course book, they will have all these chances to be exposed to the language in a very flexible form. Yes, because they will have listening. Yes, this is an example of how you can send them homework. Yes, you can send them messages, do homework. The homework, you can say, is all the preparation and practice activities. Yes, so they can use it as a challenge, as a game, or they can use it they can be a tool for you to see their progress, to check their progress. So you can say, you can send them a message. Yes, please do this. Yes, all right. Okay, so this is the preparation and practice. Yes, for example, in this case, grammar preparation, narrative tenses. Before you start with that unit in your class, you can, of course, this is up to you, but you can give them this warming up, this elicitation of knowledge to see what they remember. And then the practice, as you can see, they have listening practice, a lot of activities with listening, vocabulary, grammar, so more exposure to the language. And here you have the activities. Yes, this is vocabulary preparation, everyday activities, and they start doing it. Yes, this can be done on their mobile phones or on their computers. And it's like a game. Yes, they have to choose, for example, in this case, choose the activity. Yes, they choose and then they check, they go to the next activity. It's very user-friendly, very dynamic. Yes, match the correct description to the image. Yes, there's a variety of activities. I'm just showing you some of them because there are so many that it will take ages. But every activity has a different format. And then, for example, grammar preparation, modals of obligation. Yes, go for goal. They have this kind of games. Yes, they challenge. In this case, for example, they have lives and they have a timer. Yes. So again, if they want to revise their English and they are on the bus or as I told you, on the doctor's office, they don't need to take the book and the workbook and practice. Yes, they can just do them on their computers. So a variety of activities for your students. Well, I think that would be all. I don't know if you have any question, any doubt. I try to show you as much as I can because I know it's a Saturday evening, but because there are a lot of it's very flexible. It's great. Not only the book but also the digital sections. That's very complete. A lot of resources. Yes, you're right. Yes, great tool for us. Yes, it's great. Mhm. I don't know if there are any other questions. Mhm. Okay, Ale, do you
No, no, no. If they have no more questions, we can call it today. Okay.
Mhm. Very good and
Okay.
complete. Yes, indeed, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you need more information, if you'd like a sample copy, you can drop us a contact your local representative or drop us an email to argentina.eltinfo@macmillaneducation.com, and also you can follow us on our social media. No,
Okay.
thanks for your time, Mariela. Thanks for your time.
We hope to see you in our next presentation sometime. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Have a
yes. Have a
lovely.
nice weekend.
Yes, and thank you very much. See
Thank you
you.
very much. Bye, Ale. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.